He came home late, smelling like a scent that wasn't mine. Just a long night out, he said. I believed him, until I did laundry and found a lipstick-stained napkin in his pocket. My hands shook as I read the scribbled note. Call me if you want to repeat. That night, I waited until he got comfortable and casually asked, ever done something you regret? He chuckled, not really. I pulled out the napkin and whispered, then tell me why she thinks you should. His smile vanished, and so did his excuses. I've been quiet about this for a long time. Mostly because I didn't want to admit it happened to me. But lately, I've been seeing stories here that mirror pieces of my own, and it's made me realize I'm not alone. So here it goes. I'm 42. My, now ex, husband Rob and I were together for 11 years, married for 8. We lived just outside of Baltimore, in a small 2-bedroom house we got a good deal on right before the market jumped. I work in admin for a logistics company. Rob's in IT. We weren't flashy people, we didn't do big vacations or post our lives all over Instagram. We were just normal. Or at least I thought we were. Things between us had been off for a few months before this all happened. I wish I could say I noticed it right away, but it was subtle. Less talking at dinner. More time on his phone. He stopped asking how my day was. He started coming home later, blaming traffic or grabbing a drink with Drew, his work buddy I've met maybe twice. I asked him once if anything was going on. He said he was just stressed. I believed him. One night he came home late, like past midnight. I was already in bed half asleep when I heard the front door open. He didn't sneak in, just walked in like nothing was wrong. I smelled it before I even saw him. It was this perfume, floral, sweet, and strong. Not mine. Not anything I owned. It wasn't one of those subtle, maybe it rubbed off from someone at the office kind of smells. It hit me like a brick. I asked him, where were you? He said, just out with Drew. Had a few drinks. Sorry it got late. I asked what bar. He mentioned one in Canton, some new place with neon signs and expensive craft cocktails. He even said, you wouldn't like it, too noisy. Like that made it okay. I stared at him for a second longer than I should have. He noticed. He smiled, kissed my forehead, and went to the shower. That scent lingered in the hall even after he closed the door. I sat on the edge of our bed that night for a long time. I didn't cry. I just stared at the floor. My gut told me something was wrong. But I still didn't have anything concrete. And I wanted to trust him. I needed to trust him. I went to sleep trying to convince myself I was being paranoid. A few days later, I was doing laundry. Rob always leaves everything in a pile, inside out, socks twisted into each other. Nothing new there. I was going through his jeans when I found it. A napkin. Folded once. Stiff. At first, I thought it was just a receipt or something, and I was going to throw it away. But something made me pause. I opened it. Lipstick. Red. Writing in the same lipstick. Call me if you want to repeat. Simone. There was a number underneath. I stood there, frozen, napkin in hand, surrounded by socks and shirts and the dryer humming behind me. My hands started shaking. I put everything down, sat on the laundry room floor and just stared at it. I read it over and over like the words would change. But they didn't. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't even feel angry at first. Just numb. It felt like the world tilted a little. That night I didn't say anything. I made dinner. Watched TV with him, nodded when he talked about something that happened at work. I watched the way he laughed, how he reached for the remote, how he picked at his plate like always. But all I could see was that napkin. That name. That stupid wink. When he went to bed, I stayed up. I Googled the number. Found it on a Yelp page for a boutique spa in Fells Point. Her name was Simone. Blonde, younger, looked like she sold overpriced candles and posted "Live Laugh Love" quotes on Instagram. I found her business page, scrolled through the photos. She was pretty. Of course she was. I didn't sleep that night. The next evening, I waited until he was full, steak and mashed potatoes, his favorite. He was watching the Orioles game, feet up, beer in hand. I sat down next to him and asked, have you ever done something you regret? He looked at me, kind of smirked. Not really, he said, like it was a weird question. I pulled the napkin out of my hoodie pocket and laid it on the coffee table in front of him. Then tell me why she thinks you should. His face dropped. That smirk died instantly. It was like someone hit pause on his whole body. He didn't say anything for a long time. Just stared at it. Finally, he said, where did you get that? I stared right back. Laundry. He reached for it. I grabbed it before he could touch it. He started talking fast. It's not what you think. It was a mistake. I was drunk. She kissed me first. It didn't mean anything. It was just once. He kept changing the story every minute. At one point, he said it was only a kiss. Then it was a drunken hookup. Then it was we didn't go all the way. Then, when I didn't say anything, he switched to anger. Are you seriously going to throw away everything over one stupid night? That's when I finally spoke. You already did. He slept in the guest room that night. I locked our bedroom door. The silence between us in the days after was louder than any argument we'd ever had. I didn't tell anyone for a few weeks. Not my sister, not my best friend. I needed time to process. Then, one morning before work, I called Simone. She picked up on the second ring. I said, "Hi. I think you've met my husband." Silence. Then she said, Oh, you're Monica. So she knew my name. She sounded surprised but not sorry. I asked, "Did he tell you he was married?" She hesitated. "Not at first. He said you were separated. That things were basically over." I asked, "Was it just once?" She paused. "No, it was a few times. Over 2 weeks." I didn't know the whole story. I thanked her and hung up. It was like a movie scene, except there was no dramatic music. Just my hallway and the ticking of the wall clock. I packed a suitcase that weekend and stayed at my sister's place in Ellicott City. I didn't tell Rob where I was going. I just left a note on the fridge. "I need space. Don't call me." He texted. A lot. Then less. Then not at all. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready. I didn't know what the end of the story would look like. But I knew what it wouldn't look like. Him, smiling at me across the dinner table like nothing happened. I'm still figuring it out. Still waiting for the next move. But I found the napkin. And I'm not pretending anymore. A few days after I left, I went back to the house. Not to talk. I needed my stuff. Real clothes. Work shoes. My journals. And my cat, Olive. I parked on the street. His car wasn't there, which was perfect. I didn't want to see him. I walked in with my spare key. The house smelled like pine cleaner and fake cinnamon, like he'd tried too hard to make it smell fresh. He always did that when he was guilty. Tried to erase things with Febreze. I headed upstairs, packed 2 big bags, and grabbed Olive's carrier. Then I went into the kitchen. That's when I saw it. A wine glass in the sink. Lipstick stain. Same shade as the napkin. My stomach dropped. I walked over to the trash and opened the lid. Inside was a takeout container. Sushi. Extra ginger. He hated ginger. She'd been there. In my kitchen. Sitting in my chair. I felt this heat behind my eyes. Like if I didn't leave right then, I'd tear the place apart. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just locked the front door behind me and left. I texted him later that night, "Don't bring her into our house again. I'm serious." He didn't reply. The next morning, he called. Didn't even say hello. Just jumped in. "You were at the house." I said, "Yeah. I needed my things. Looks like someone else left some too." He paused. Then, "She just came over to talk. I didn't think you'd be back so soon." That told me everything. I hung up. That week, I met with a lawyer. Not because I was sure I wanted a divorce yet, but because I needed to understand what that path would look like. Maryland law says if there's no mutual agreement, you need to be separated a full year to file for a no-fault divorce. If you want to file on fault grounds, like adultery, you can do it sooner. But you need proof. Napkins aren't enough. Wine glasses don't count. I'd need something more concrete. So I started collecting things. Call logs. Bank statements. Screenshots. I wasn't just being emotional anymore. I was getting smart. That's when the twist hit. 3 weeks after I left, I got a message from a woman named Marissa on Facebook. We weren't friends. But I saw we had Rob in common. Her message was short. "Hi. I know this is strange. But I think we should talk. It's about Rob." My heart stopped. I replied, "What about him?" She asked if we could talk on the phone. That night, I called her. She didn't waste time. I dated Rob a few years ago. Briefly. We worked in the same building. He told me he was single. We hooked up a few times before I found out he was married. When I confronted him, he ghosted me. My mouth was dry. When was this? Late 2019. Right before Christmas. I was stunned. "Are you sure?" "Positive." I had no idea he was married until someone mentioned it at our office holiday party. That Christmas, Rob had told me he was working late all week doing a system upgrade. I'd believed him. I'd even made him a thermos of cocoa and kissed him before he left. I hung up the phone and sat there for over an hour. Completely still. It wasn't just Simone. It wasn't just a mistake. This was a pattern. A trail. And I'd never even looked. After I spoke to Marissa, I went back through everything. Old phone bills. Calendar events. Photos. Emails. My brain was on fire. I started remembering things I'd brushed off. Nights he worked late. Weekends with his cousin in DC. Work trips that I'd never seen itineraries for. One memory wouldn't stop replaying. Valentine's Day 2020. He'd sent me flowers, roses, classic, boring, like always, but he didn't make it home that night. He claimed a server crashed at work and said he was stuck overnight with his team. I remember crying on the couch, eating grocery store tiramisu in sweatpants, watching reruns of The Office. Now I was sure he'd been with someone else. But I didn't have proof. Only memories with holes in them. And that's when the real twist came. I got another message. This time from someone I did know. His coworker, Drew's wife. Her name's Natalie. We weren't close, but we'd been at the same parties and barbecues over the years. She was always friendly. Quiet. Her message, "Hey Monica. This might be out of line, but I think there's something you should know about Rob. Call me when you can." My chest tightened. I called her that night. She didn't even wait for me to say hi. "I'm sorry. I should have told you a long time ago. I didn't want to get involved. But I can't stay quiet anymore." "What's going on?" "It's not just Simone. Or whoever else you found out about. There's more. One of them, she was only 20. I blinked. What? She was interning in Rob's department. Her name was Leah. She left the company after it happened. Quit without notice. Rob bragged about it to Drew like it was nothing. I felt my throat close. Natalie continued. I overheard them talking. He said something like, she knew what she was getting into. I told Drew it wasn't okay. We fought about it. A lot. We're in therapy now, but I think you deserve to know. I was shaking. This wasn't just cheating. This was manipulation. Of someone younger. Inexperienced. In the same office. With power dynamics at play. I asked Natalie, do you know how I can reach her? She said she didn't. But she'd ask around. And she did. 2 days later, she sent me an Instagram handle. I messaged the girl, not expecting a reply. But Leah answered the same night. She told me everything. They'd started texting after she asked Rob for help with a project. He told her she was mature for her age, different from other interns. She was flattered. He said things at home were hard. That he wasn't happy. That he was figuring things out. I knew that line. He used it on me once when he wanted to buy a new car we couldn't afford. Leah said he never outright said he was married. But he never hid it either. He was vague. Careful. Manipulative. When they finally slept together, he made her promise to keep it a secret. She said, I thought I was in control, but I wasn't. He ghosted me the day after. Like I didn't exist. I apologized to her. She cried. I cried. We sat on the phone in silence. That call lit something in me I didn't expect. Rage. Not sadness. Not heartbreak. Not confusion. Rage. Not just for me. But for Leah. And Marissa. And whoever else was out there. This wasn't about a bad marriage anymore. This was about him. Who he really was. I didn't plan it. But after talking to Leah and hearing the shake in her voice, something in me snapped. It wasn't a burst of anger. It was cold. Controlled. I'd spent weeks crying, doubting myself, wondering if maybe I'd done something wrong. But now, I knew who he was. I just needed him to know I knew. So I drove downtown the next day to his office building on Pratt Street. I didn't text. Didn't call. I walked straight through the lobby like I belonged there. I wore makeup. Black jeans. A simple top. Nothing fancy. I wanted him to see me. Not as some scorned woman. But as the woman who'd carried his lies and finally dropped them. I took the elevator to the 8th floor. HR and IT shared the same level. I knew that. I'd been there once during a holiday party. I stepped out and walked past the receptionist. Can I help you? She asked, looking confused. I'm just here to see Rob, I said. Calm. Direct. He's expecting me. She didn't question it. I walked right into the open plan office. It was a sea of desks and low cubicle walls. He was sitting at his desk, headphones on, staring at 2 monitors. Typing. Focused. He didn't see me at first. I stood right behind him. Then I tapped him on the shoulder. He turned and froze. You know that moment when someone's entire face changes in less than a second? That was him. Pure panic. Monica, what are you? We need to talk. His coworkers started looking over. He whispered, not here. I spoke louder. Oh, but I think here is perfect. He stood up quickly, tried to usher me toward a small meeting room. I went with him, but not before I made sure people saw. Heard. Felt it. He closed the door behind us. What the hell are you doing? He hissed. I pulled out a manila envelope. Dropped it on the table. Inside, copies of the napkin. Phone records. Bank statements. A written statement from Leah. A screenshot of Marissa's message. You're disgusting, I said. I just wanted to look you in the eye while your castle crumbles. He didn't speak. You didn't just cheat on me, I said. You lied to me. Used people. Abused your position. You made girls think they were special and then tossed them like trash. His hands were shaking. I made mistakes, he finally said, voice low. But you don't need to humiliate me like this. I laughed. Oh, I'm the problem now? And then came the twist I didn't see coming. He sat down, covered his face, and started sobbing. I hate myself, he said. You think I don't know I ruined everything? I stared at him. For the first time, I saw a version of him that looked small, weak, like a man who had hollowed himself out from the inside. He didn't cry because he lost me. He cried because he got caught. Because it was all falling apart in public. Because his mask broke. I didn't want to be this person, he said. But you are. I walked out of that office, straight past his team, holding that envelope in one hand like it was evidence in a trial. No one stopped me. A few people watched. One guy whispered to another. Let them whisper. Let them know. Later that day, Natalie texted me. People are talking. You did what no one else could. The next week, I filed for divorce on fault grounds. Adultery. My lawyer said the documentation I had was more than enough. Rob didn't contest it. He didn't try to apologize again. He moved in with a friend temporarily. I let him keep the couch and the TV. I didn't want anything that held his imprint. Leah texted me once more, thanking me for standing up. Said she'd finally started therapy. She was 24 now, working somewhere new. Her voice sounded steadier. Marissa moved to Colorado. She and I keep in touch randomly. Funny how two strangers became part of the same trauma club. People think when someone cheats, the pain is in the betrayal. But for me, the worst part was the gaslighting. The way he made me question my memory, my intuition, my worth. That quiet erosion of trust over years. The tiny cracks I kept sealing over with excuses. I lost myself slowly. And by the time I realized it, I barely recognized who I was. I'm rebuilding now. I still wake up sometimes thinking he's beside me. Still have moments where I hear a car pull up and think, maybe he's coming home. Then I remember, I'm not waiting for him anymore. I'm waiting for me. I don't know if Rob ever really loved me. I think he loved the idea of me. Of us. Of stability. But he didn't love me enough to respect me. To choose me. And that's all I ever really wanted. I don't hate him. I don't wish him well either. I hope he sits in his own silence long enough to realize what he became. As for me, I'm still healing. I go to therapy. I take walks. I pet my cat and read books I never had time for before. I'm learning to trust my gut again. Would I do things differently if I could go back? Maybe. But then again, maybe not. Because the woman I am now, she doesn't take napkins for granted.